Welcome to the Food Connection Learning Kitchen. Today we'll be making some Greek beef pitas, and we took this recipe directly from the Beef Council's website. This is a great recipe to show you how to use a lean cut of beef, add in some other veggies, and get lots of fiber. This is also a budget-friendly meal because everything in total is $19 or less. In addition to the meal, we'll be using the leftovers to make one other additional meal and some snacks. We'll be using sirloin tip, which is a great cut for this recipe. As you can see, it's very lean beef. A great tip for finding lean beef is to look for the name loin or round in the name. So our sirloin tip works really well for this. I've got 1 tablespoon of lemon pepper seasoning here. We're going to be liberally sprinkling this on each side of the steak. We'll start with the side that's turned up right now, and we'll add it to the other side when we flip our steak. So we're going to add just a drizzle of oil, just enough to coat the bottom of our pan. We want to use our hot pad because we have a nice hot pan here, so we get a sear on the steak. Now the side that I've seasoned, I'm going to put that down first, and then use the rest of my tablespoon of lemon pepper seasoning to sprinkle the second side. And we'll just let that sit in the pan. You don't want to move it around too much. Can you hear that sizzle? While the steak is searing, we can cut up our vegetables. We'll start with our red onion. One thing you need to do is cut out the core. So make a little triangle or a divot in the end and take out the core. And then you just slice along the lines on the onion. Keep your fingers up and curled on the onion, holding it in a claw. We call it the wildcat claw at UK. And we're gonna cut up both halves. Now we won't use all of this onion for this recipe, but we're gonna save it for the second day's recipe. You get to cook once and eat twice. I'm gonna save a little bit for the pitas that we're doing today. And then I have a container here to put the rest of the onion in. We're gonna take 1 green pepper and slice that into strips as well, just like our onion. Slice into the flesh of the pepper, and I'll show you a very easy way to get rid of all of the seeds and all the pith. So we just roll our pepper around, cutting through each rib as we go. Don't cut toward yourself, that's dangerous. And you can pull out the entire core and seed pod together and throw it away. Then give your pepper a little squish, and that gives you a nice rectangular shape to cut easily into strips. We're gonna reserve a small amount of the green pepper for our pitas today. You don't need too much. We're making 4 servings, and the rest will go in our container for tomorrow with our strips of onion. One thing that is seasonal for this time of year is we're coming out of winter that I have left over from some salads I made are some radishes. Now these may not look like the radishes you're used to. They are called watermelon radishes. I sliced them up for the salad, but I'm gonna cut these into strips as well. This is in addition to the actual recipe, but I wanted to show you that you can use up other ingredients in these pitas. We're going to use about 1/4 of this cucumber for this recipe. And you just want a couple slices per pita. We'll be slicing up the rest of this for our bean dip later on as a snack. We're going to use 1/2 of 1 lemon for our pitas today. This steak is smelling really good. We've let it sear for about 4 or 5 minutes on this side. We're gonna flip it over to the other side. Look at all of that sear on that side, and we're gonna do the same for the second side. Next, we'll be making our white bean dip or spread for our pitas. It will also make extra that you can use for a snack for the next 4 days or so. We have 1 can of white beans. Use your favorite. These happen to be cannellini beans. And we'll pour those into a mixing bowl. That gives us plenty of room to mix it around. We can start with a potato masher, or you can use a fork the entire time, but we're gonna start mashing our white beans. One of the wonderful things about beans is one, they fit into any budget. The fiber in the white beans is especially important because it slows digestion and it prevents any sugar spikes. Fiber also will keep you full and satisfied longer. It's also great if you're trying to reduce cholesterol. If you're having trouble getting your beans mashed with the potato masher, it helps to go in with a fork, and any beans that are left, you can mash those down. Now, to this mixture, we are going to add our half of a lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, 1/2 teaspoon of powdered or granulated garlic, 1 teaspoon of dried parsley, but you can use whatever is in your pantry. Dried Italian seasoning or dried oregano would be delicious in this recipe, but use whatever you have on hand. We're going to finish by adding 1 small pinch of ground black pepper. Once we get all of our ingredients in, we just want to mix our bean dip together, and you can see that the parsley or the other herbs are distributed evenly in the dip. If your bean dip is really thick, you can always add a teaspoon of water to thin it down. It looks like our steak is about done. What we're going to do is take it off the heat and place it on a pan to rest for a few minutes. This allows all the juices to sort of settle in the steak so that we don't lose all that moisture when we start to slice. Now let's talk about our pitas. We have whole wheat pitas here. I'm going to cut them in half, and that's where we're going to stuff all our ingredients today. Look at how gorgeous this steak is. We've let it rest, so all the juices should be back in the flesh of this steak. It's well seasoned, smells amazing. I wish you could smell it. But we're gonna slice up the entire steak. We'll use 1 portion for our beef pitas today. The rest will go in the container with our onions and pepper strips for the stir fry tomorrow. Slice your steak into thin strips. You can use a fork or a pair of tongs to hold it still. Now remember, for both of our recipes, the beef pitas and the beef and vegetable stir fry, we'll be eating this beef with green peppers. Bell peppers contain a large amount of vitamin C, and you may not be aware of this, but vitamin C actually helps your body to absorb all the iron, which is very important for our health. Now we have our assembly line ready. In addition to what we've already prepared, again, leftover, that you could use anything from your fridge that you want in these beef pitas, but I have some lovely local greens. First, we want to take 1 tablespoon of the bean spread or dip and use it as a spread inside. We can put a little bit on both sides of the pita. That will add lots of wonderful flavor, and it'll help hold our sandwich together in addition to all of those wonderful nutrition benefits we've mentioned. I'm gonna add my veggies next, and feel free to use whatever you like here. And then we can add our beef on top. As I said earlier, this should make about 4 servings. And that's how you put your pitas together. We'll continue that with the other 3. Feel free to style this however you want. Add all the veggies you can, stuff it full. This will be a very filling, complete meal. If you remember me saying you could reserve half your lemon, I did, and I'm going to use it today to squeeze over the last bits on my beef pitas. And remember, we've cooked once and can eat twice or more. You've got this meal for today, and you have a full stir fry for tomorrow, as well as a snack with the leftover bean dip and pita wedges. This recipe is perfect for anyone with pre-diabetes or diabetes, or frankly anyone who's looking for a filling, nutritious meal. For more details about this recipe, the nutrition information, and the breakdown of the cost, visit the Food as Health Alliance website.